I am currently in downtown Sarasota, and I want to share some photos of the aftermath of the hurricane that made shore in our area south of us yesterday, and what was the damage to Sarasota, Florida. So I'm going to share some photos of some damage and also just talk about hurricanes, because so many people ask me about that when they're considering moving to Florida or even they live here. The biggest question that I got in the last few days is, my first hurricane, what do I do? Should I stay? Should I go? And that's always a question when we know that there's a storm out there and how much damage that can cause. So let me just start showing you some photos of what's happened here in Sarasota in that standpoint. Now you can see right now there are a lot of trees down, and that's also making it hard to maneuver through the city. So I was awoken by a chainsaw as the roads were blocked in my neighborhood and people were riding on yards to get by. And of course the neighbors didn't like that, so they immediately got out there and started whacking out the trees with a chainsaw, right? So that's very common. Obviously after a hurricane, it's not safe to go out because the roads, a lot of places are blocked, and especially here we are having some flooding. Because the power's out, a lot of the street lights are out, so the traffic is a little chaotic. Good thing is there's not a lot of people on the road right now, and as I said, it's not quite safe because there's a lot of debris on the roads. A lot of roads are closed because trees have fallen over them, and we have a lot of volunteers coming out and cleaning those roadways up quickly. But flooding is the big issue, especially in Florida when we have a bad storm. If you're in a low-lying area and you have flooding, that could be a very dangerous situation even after a hurricane, because in a flooding situation you're not sure what that looks like. You don't know what's in the water. So flooding can be a big issue here in Florida, especially after a hurricane hits. Now this hurricane was not a direct hit to Sarasota, but we certainly felt the aftermath, and we have a lot of damage from that to our city. So flooding, big issue in Florida. If you're in a low-lying area and you have flooding, you have to be very careful of that, because in our area, because when it floods, you don't know what's in that water. Now, I have been in a home that flooded right after a bad storm that had a couple feet of water, and it was not a good situation because the water is not clean water. It's dirty water, and you don't know what's in that water. You just want to stay away from it, and you certainly, if you're out on the road, you don't want to drive through puddles, big puddles, because you don't know how deep they are. You don't know if your car is going to get trapped. So just kind of give you some surface ideas of what happened here in Sarasota. Let me show you some footage. If it's an area that was heavily wooded, you're going to see trees coming down. Now in downtown Sarasota, we saw awnings coming off businesses. This particular image is most intriguing, as we have a high-rise building here in downtown Sarasota that got hit. The windows, a lot of the windows got smashed up. It was some kind of projectile that went through the glass and shattered these windows from the skyrise. Now, how does that happen? Well, in a hurricane, anything that's left loose debris, and it could be as simple as a lawn chair, right? Or just any kind of thing that you think, okay, it's okay. Well, it's not okay to leave material out before a hurricane, because those become missiles, and that can shatter right through glass. So hopefully the people that were in that building are safe. It's a commercial building, so I trust they were, but you can see from that viewpoint that even 12 feet up, or 12 stories up on a high rise, you're going to see damage. So let's just go back to the idea of hurricanes. What is that like here in Florida if you've never gone through a hurricane? Because we have so many newcomers to Florida, a lot of our new friends constantly ask, okay, there's a hurricane coming, should I stay, should I go? And that is a good question, and it depends, of course, on yourself, because if you do stay, it's a potentially hazardous situation, but leaving in a hurricane can be very problematic if you don't leave soon enough. Now, if you leave soon enough, you're in good shape, but if you leave at last minute, the interstates start jamming up and gas stations run out of gas, and you have to plan for that, because you could actually be stranded somewhere that you're not as safe as if you had just stayed home. So you want to plan your exit and make sure you have the resources to leave if you're going to leave. Now, the last hurricane that we had, some friends of mine and stuff, we all left and we went to the Carolinas, and I'll tell you, it was one of the best vacations of my life. I will never forget that hurricane. And when we came back, the roads were clean. We didn't suffer the damage, and it was a good thing that we left at that one. This particular hurricane, I didn't have the choice to leave. I mean, I guess I could, but it was just too inconvenient to leave, so I stayed. And I am glad I stayed, because there's always that fear factor of what happens to your house. Are your pets, your neighbors safe? Is it a good time to stay? Now, if you're in an evacuation zone, no, you can't stay. You need to leave. And if you're not in an evacuation zone, make sure that you're in a safe place. So here's the first thing that I did, knowing that we had a bad storm coming to our area. I put all the trash cans, all the lawn furniture, anything that could be a missile in a windstorm in my garage, so the house was secure, and I did the best I could. But even with that, all night I kept hearing this huge thump on the side of my house, and I thought, what could that possibly be? And it was this big oak. I have a big oak tree in my yard, and one of the branches that's 10 feet away from my house kept hitting the side of my house. And I really felt like it was going to break the window, which would have been a bad situation at that point, especially in the storm, because the damage would have been considerably worse. So I'm glad it didn't break the window, but my yard was a disaster this morning. And so was my neighborhood. In fact, we couldn't get out of the neighborhood because there are so many fallen trees in the area. So first thing you do if you're staying, make sure, of course, that you're not going to create a problem for your neighbors, that you are cleaning your yard up, and that you're going to be in a safe place, so you don't have anything in your yard that can come back and hit you as in the window or break one of your windows and cause a problem. So that would be number one. Make sure that you're staying in a safe, secure area. Where you're staying, make sure you don't have the potential of high water coming into your area. I would say my big takeaway from this storm is I would have prepared better. I hadn't thought of the idea that if the internet goes down, I'm going to be cut off to the world, because I rely so much on the internet, and without that, in a house that I can't leave, in a storm, that if I could have lost power, I would have not known what was going on in the outside world. So that made me feel a little vulnerable. I'll know next time to have a radio with a battery backup, just so I could have some sense of what's going on outside, because I had no idea where the hurricane was even coming in. Now, obviously at this point we know what happened, and we can see the aftermath of Sarasota. And I felt a lot more relief when I woke up and I could see, yes, there's trees down, but everyone is safe. It looks like we're okay here in Sarasota. So again, my name is Troy Funk, and it's Funk, F-U-N-K. I am a broker here in Central West Coast of Florida, and I sell real estate. So if I can help you in your real estate journey here in Florida, I have a team of professionals all over the state of Florida, and we do sell all over the state of Florida. Reach out to me, and I will try to help you on your journey. Again, thank you for watching. I wish you safety and wellness.